So with my dubious understanding of Australian politics, my family packed up our little cottage in Burra, South Australia, to move halfway around the world. On the 31st of December 1994, my dad, mum, younger sister and I landed in Muscat, the capital city of the Sultanate of Oman. I had just celebrated my 9th birthday. At that time there was no internet, there was no Google, and so the only thing I thought I knew about the Middle East was that something called the Gulf War had happened there. I imagined we would be moving to a desert where no one would be able to speak English, that all of our shopping would have to be done in sandy, windswept markets, and that we would be living in huts with no air conditioning. You can imagine my relief then when I found that Muscat was a beautiful and modern city. What is more, the local Omanis were so incredibly friendly and welcoming to the expats who were coming to their country in ever-increasing numbers. I went to an international school where from reception to year 12 there were only 600 students. But these 600 students represented more than 40 nationalities. There was a running joke that if you took a picture of any 4 of the students at my school, we looked like an advert for the United Colours of Benetton. From a very early age, the young benefits of multiculturalism was instilled in me and the other students. We learnt that we were richer for our diversity. We learnt that multiculturalism gives you pause to reflect on your values and how many of our values are shared by other cultures and religions. Above all, we learnt that respect for one another was the key to living peacefully. And all of this was learned while living in a Muslim country where I had many Muslim friends. And that is why the hatred and the willful ignorance of some Australians towards Islam and multiculturalism cuts me so deep. It does not and it should not matter what God you worship, or if you don't worship a God for that matter. What matters is your respect for others, your desire to live a peaceful life, and your willingness to contribute positively to society. To see one group of people branded as incapable of having those attributes is not just immature and ignorant, it is plain wrong. I imagine what it would have been like for me and my family if the people in Oman shunned, rejected and vilified us, not because of anything we had done, but because of where we came from and our beliefs. How it would have felt to be in a minority in a country that we called home, and yet we were constantly being asked to defend ourselves because of the actions of a few. I ask each and every one of you in this place to think for a moment what that would be like. Imagine it was you. When I came back to Australia in 2004, one of the things that struck me was our right to have a free and frank debate about our country's leadership. I had spent 10 years living in a country whose ruler, Sultan Qaboos bin Said, was revered by his people. The Sultan overthrew his father in a palace coup in 1970. He embarked on a bold mission to modernise the country, which, at the time, had a single paved road and gates to the capital city which were literally closed each night. The Sultan built roads, schools and hospitals. He opened the country up to international trade and his people loved him for it. However, things could have been very different for Oman and its people if a less progressive ruler had taken over all those years ago. And Oman's people would have been powerless to do anything about it. When I think about the reason I stand here today, it's not the many hours of policy work, legislative negotiations or political machinations that come to mind. Instead, I see my high school friends in Oman sharing their culture and beliefs without fear of judgment or reprisal, and accepting my differences as I accepted theirs.